Welcome in, CHGO Bears, talking to one of my favorite people, Nicholas Moreano. Not you, although I appreciate you too, buddy. But the Hall of Famer is with us, working with Super App, doing the Super Bowl thing. Of course, over my left shoulder is the banner from Super Bowl 20. Danimal, Dan Hampton, good to see you, my friend.
Great to see you and Nick. And I will tell you this. As we go into this game coming Sunday, of all the matchups, this one has got a little taint of the Super Bowl defense. You know, this Philadelphia bunch, they have been the closest to breaking our quarterback sack record that we've held for 40 years or whatever in the NFL. They got close. They can get after the quarterback. That's going to be really, I think, the major subplot of this Super Bowl.
Dan, how were you feeling about that? You just mentioned they got close. Was there any point in the season where you're like, hey, stop rushing that quarterback a little bit?
Well, we had already started putting our excuses together. Well, they had 17 games. They've got about 8 different guys play. But, you know, in a strange way, it and you guys know, being there in Chicago, it kind of highlights what's important about the game. You know, both of these teams, they've got, you know, well, Mahomes, there's nobody like him, but both have difference-making quarterbacks, but they also have some guys along the line of scrimmage that are elite. And, you know, the Eagles had 70 sacks on the year, while our Bears had 20. That's not a misspelling. It's, you know, 10 plus 10, 20. And at some point, it just gives you an idea of how far we need to close the gap if we want to ever be able to get back in the playoffs and play with teams like this.
Hamp, do you think any one of the 4 guys up there can play as far as the defensive line goes?
Look, Armand Watts has had glimpses of, you know, being a dominant player, but not nearly enough. The Jones has, you know, he wasn't what they expected when they signed him to be a difference maker at the 3 technique. Both of the defensive ends, you know, were almost abysmal. All 3, actually. You know, Robinson was. You know, part of the reason why Quinn was jettisoned was they thought Robinson would go ahead and bloom or blossom, and he actually started going backwards. So is it the player's fault? Totally, maybe not. You know, I don't know if you heard some of what the great Ed Obradovich and I were talking about on a weekly basis.
My guy.
But, you know, a lot of good things from Justin Fields, but unfortunately, I think he was being focused and channeled down the wrong avenues. You know, if you go back and look, Steve Young was almost forced to stay in the pocket and not run. He was forced to make decisions, forced to understand that process. And rather than, you know, kind of hold Justin Fields accountable and say, dude, for us to get better and for our team and offense to progress, you're going to have to start processing the coverages and making a decision and throwing the ball. Instead, we went the opposite way, saying, oh, we'll put more running plays in for you where you don't have to make a decision. So, you know, again, I think the coaching on the defensive line, getting back to that it was bad. And look, I don't want no one to lose a job, but when you have a defense that essentially is at an all-time historic bad place, there's reasons. It's not just the players. It's not just because, you know, you got a couple injuries. There's some bad coaching going on. And the defensive line, it was pretty bad.
And Dan, let me ask you, Matt Eberflus is a defensive guy, and we see these historic lows in a bunch of different categories on the defense. How are you feeling after one season with Matt Eberflus? There's a lot that needs to be worked on. They have the number 1 overall pick, but how are you feeling about him and, you know, that defense moving forward for the Bears?
Make no mistake, I don't think this is about Eberflus. I think it's about the assistants, and it's just almost like, you know, in high school, the principal can't be held responsible for, you know, the shop teacher teaching a kid to, get his finger cut off, right? I mean, you can't watch. But at some point, but this is where he has to acknowledge whatever we thought we were going to accomplish with this coach, and look at the receiver, the passing game coordinator. We were dead last in every, not some, every category. And so you got to look at. I think the kid's name is Terrell. I think Travis Smith was the defensive line coach. I'm just saying they have to be assessed and held accountable, because trust me, if I was a player and I went through the season and never got close to quarterbacks and didn't make many plays, I'm held accountable. Same thing should be instituted for all the coaches. And 1 year, there's no pass. This is professional football. Everybody's got to pull on the rope.
Hamp, let's talk about the quarterback. What we're talking about here is leaving him in the pocket, having him go through those progressions, which he wants to do. I think this is where he would prefer to be. He said, I don't want to rush for 1,000 yards again. I want to preserve myself, play a decade plus in the league. You believe in Justin Fields, correct? Or have you kind of, after seeing a full second year, I haven't talked to you in a little bit here, have you stepped off that even just a little bit?
No, I've seen enough to know that I want to cast my lot with him. And what we used to say, Carman, I think I told you this, when we would go into a game against Pittsburgh, I would be on the sideline thinking, okay, what guy on their team could start for the Bears, when I played and we were really good. And very seldom it would always be one, maybe two or three guys, not many. Well, how many quarterbacks in the league right now would I trade Justin Fields for? I wouldn't trade him for Derek Carr or Daniel Jones. I wouldn't trade him. I wouldn't trade him for Jalen Hurts. It's Justin Herbert and a few of those guys. There's like 5. So yeah, I think we have the makings of an elite quarterback. I just don't know how much Luke Getsy has furthered his process of development. And again, you can't be all things to all people, right? Well, if you're going to be a running quarterback, you ain't thinking about, all the nuances of reading coverages and all that. You've got to think more about, on the quarterback keep and the load, and I got to be looking for the safety. And, there's only so much time in the course of a week in the preparation. And it was almost like middle of the season. This is a brand new, game. And, we're going to run him. And then guess what? Just what we said. It's just a matter of time till your quarterback gets whacked. Now you open up the second team and third team quarterback, and we don't want to go there. So it's about, Luke Getsy's going to be back. And I remember, and you heard it, a bunch of the so-called geniuses around Chicago were saying, Luke Getsy's a genius. He's going to be, we got to keep him. He can't be a head. Nobody brought him in for an interview. And there's a reason. What I'm telling you has to change.
And Dan, maybe one way Justin Fields will stop all that running, will maybe play a little bit from the pocket a little bit more if he gets a number 1 wide receiver. Do you think this offseason, when you look at some of the players, you look at a guy like Jalen Hurts, he has A.J. Brown, Tua, they got Hill and Waddle over there, these playmaking wide receivers. Is that a priority for Justin Fields to have a guy that he can trust and go to in 2023?
Oh, yeah. And, A.J. Brown going to Philadelphia changed the complexion of that offense. Devontae Smith, obviously, those are the ingredients that allow you to, start setting different, thresholds of performance. All that being said, both of those teams, you're talking about Miami and Philadelphia, both of them, their offensive coordinators were very instrumental in the development of the passing game, first and foremost. And even Jalen Hurts, we'll see this come Sunday. We're going to see an array of the different RPOs and different things that he's going to have to, obviously negotiate. But at the end of the day, it's him making the big pass plays down the field, whether it's the wide receivers, the tight ends, or those backs on the wheel routes. I think the wheel routes, that's one of the matchups that I'm really looking at. The Kansas City middle linebacker, 32, the kid who played for Missouri. Can't remember.
I should be able to pull that. We got you.
Yeah, he struggles. He struggles in coverage, especially the wheel route. And as you know, that is a deadly route. I remember O.J. Simpson beat me on it one time when I was a rookie. So I never forgot it. At the end of the day, Jalen Hurts, he's scratching, the surface. Mahomes is what he's going to be for the next 10 years. But
you're talking about Nick Bolton is who you're talking about.
Nick Bolton, number 32. Good player, more of a run stuffer than covered. Anyway, the point being is, you don't have to throw the deep out or the burst out 10 times a game, but you've got to be able to throw it when you want to throw it, and it's got to be, some reward. You got to catch it. So it'll be fun. Now, again, everybody, this is the kind of game that I think Jalen Hurts lives for. It's where you are essentially the B player, and nobody really cares because, the superstar quarterback, he's on the other side. So we'll see what Hurts is able to do.
So, Hamp, you're working with super.com, the super app where people can save themselves some super money. Tell us who you're partnering with today.
Well, essentially that's what it is. And, it's a great gig in the sense, everybody's trying to save money in this new economy of ours, but they have, and I don't know if you had a copy of it, but there will be a super app shuffle. It's called the Super App Shuffle, and it's a 30-second commercial, and it basically emulates the Super Bowl Shuffle. And that's part of the reason why I was asked to be a part of this. But essentially what they're on is a mission to democratize the access to savings. And what that means is, hey, when we were in the Super Bowl Shuffle, we were sending out a message that we're on a mission, not from God, but from Ditka, to catch everybody's ass and win the Super Bowl. Well, the Super App Shuffle is basically we're on a mission to show people how easy it is to save money. And the Super Shop and the Super Travel app, the Super Travel app is the best part of it. In my mind, it lets you book travel for deep discounts up to 50% off. So my wife and I are going to Ireland, probably not this summer, next summer. This is where we're going to go and get it done. So remember the super at super.com, www.super.com, but it's a super app that enables you to be able to save money just like an old Hall of Famer can.
So the Hall of Famer with us here as we wrap up, and Hamp, you guys were a part of, I don't even think it's an argument, greatest football team of all time, greatest defense of all time, and you won one Super Bowl. But number 9, who I think we're talking to actually later today, couldn't stay healthy. So when you look at the Bears quarterback right now, if you had a healthy Justin Fields, even in year 2, and maybe you wrote him out, let's say you had him in 84 and you play him all the way through the end of your career, 89, 90. How many Super Bowls do you think you win with that guy?
I think a bunch. But you know what? And remember, the 49ers, that was their era of greatness as well. And Bill Parcells and the Giants, they won 2 Super Bowls. I think the 49ers won 3, or if not 4, during that same period. So it wouldn't have been easy, but stability at quarterback. And, think about this, guys. If you go right now and say winningest NFL team in a 5-year period in NFL history, this thing's been going on for over 100 years. 3 teams come up where we won a certain amount of games over a 5-year period. It was the 49ers, where Joe Montana played every game, Tom Brady in the 90s, where he played every game, or the 2000, it was the middle 2000, where he played every game for 5 years, and the Bears of 84 through 88, where we had 9 different quarterbacks play. So that tells you, we had 9 different dudes take snaps at quarterback during that 5, whereas those other legendary teams only had 1. So stability at quarterback, there's no way around it. And that's the other part about, my contention that Luke Getsy didn't get it. Hey, stability at quarterback, when you're running him on the quarterback lead, chances are he's going to be standing over there with an ice pack next to you pretty quick.
Let's just wrap it with this. Super Bowl morning, you're waking up in New Orleans. Was there even like a tenth of an ounce of a doubt that you were winning that football game?
No. And again, that's what that, we had played the Patriots earlier in the year.
Yeah.
And obviously everybody knew that we wanted Marino, we wanted the Dolphins, we wanted to fry the fish, and then we didn't. And some people thought that we were going to overlook them, but no, the undercurrent of the Buddy Ryan leaving factor was something that we all were there was no way we're going to let this thing fizzle out and not play well for Buddy in his last game. And I was looking at some of the records, the most sacks, most points. If McMahon, tell McMahon that we still are PO'd about the fact that they fumbled in the first series of the game. If they don't score with that chip shot field goal, they were not going to score. So we would have shut out everybody in the playoffs. And see, there was a lot of things that we were playing for besides just, hoping to get a chance at a Super Bowl ring. We had other fish to fry, if you will.
Yep. Historic of all time. I'm just thinking back at my Chicago sports fan life. I knew when MJ was in control, you were going to win, and I knew the 85 Bears, and that's it. Honestly, you just knew you guys were so superior. Hamp, you're the best. Great to see you. Thanks for making time. Super.com, the Super app. Save yourself some money. Whole ton of options for you, so check it out. And Danimal, let's catch up soon, all right?
Hey, buddy, I can't wait to talk to you again, Carm. And remember, we're all general managers of our own wallet, super.com. Be smart.